Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mark Anthony's Music Picks. Today is episode number 170. It has been a while because I just recently started a new job, and the job has been stealing all of my mental capacity, and I really just haven't had any room in my life to set up an episode and plan it out and record it. But today's my day. I'm feeling froggy and fresh today. Today I'm going to be covering the epic old school label named Wagon Repair, as you know from the title of the episode. Wagon Repair is a label that was founded in the early 2000s by Matthew Johnson, Conrad Black, and who's the other one? Somebody else, another producer named Loose Change that I believe appears on the label in a couple of places as a producer. But to me, Wagon Repair it's a really strong label, and when I think back on Wagon Repair, it reminds me a lot of Border Community. I think it's partly because when Border Community was famous, or when it was just starting to break out, is right when I was getting into collecting and discovering electronic music, generally speaking. I started buying and collecting and trying to learn how to DJ vinyl in 2004. So Border Community, I think, started in 03, was in full swing by 05, 06, 07, and Wagon Repair was kind of like running in parallel to it. And the reason that I'm comparing those two together is because Border Community gives me a very special, unique, nostalgic feeling when I look at those records. One of the, kind of as an aside, I realized this recently about myself. Sometimes I'll just get a box of records that are down in my basement, pull it out, and just flip through it. Like I'll just kind of like sit there and take my time and flip through it without listening to anything. And the feeling that I get when I'm looking at my old favorite records, it's really hard to describe. I would say it's probably a combination of nostalgia and a little bit of romanticizing, or romanticization, if you want to call it that. It's passion. There's just something special about that, and that feeling I can't really replicate without the wax. So for me to consider ever cutting over to digital only, even though I have, like 5,000 records at this point, and they're all heavy as hell. And if I ever have to move from this house to another house, it's like, I know it's just gonna suck. It's still worth it. Like for me, I'm vinyl for life. I'm in until the end. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these things at the end of my life. Maybe I'll have some of them buried with me. I don't know. But like, I'm all in. But anyways, that feeling, that nostalgic feeling that I was describing there, I get it very highly from Border Community, and I also get it from Wagon Repair. And one of the reasons that I think it's so distinct with Wagon Repair and Border Community is the effort that they put into their cover art. So as I'm going through here, I'm probably going to touch on some of the cover arts that I really enjoy. And for this episode, I have 7 records that I picked out for you. I already have, if you go back through my episodes, I already have something that was dedicated to Matthew Johnson. So some of the Matthew Johnson records that, like the records that I pulled for that episode were from the Wagon Repair catalog. So those have kind of like been siphoned away from this episode. But I still had so much material after going through all of my Wagon Repair releases, that there's plenty. It was actually hard for me to narrow it down for this episode, but I think I did a good job of picking out some really great releases for you. And it's kind of funny to me. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna have it center around Matthew Johnson, but in multiple occasions it did come back to Matthew Johnson, because I think he's just one of the most talented producers that's out there, that's probably ever done it. Like probably in the top 5 electronic producers of all time in terms of talent, uniqueness, coming into the scene at the right time. Like when his sound hit the scene, there was nobody else doing anything like it. And I don't know if anybody will be able to replicate him ever moving forward, especially in his early years, because he had all the special gear. He had unique combinations of instruments that he was using to compose electronic music that nobody else had access to, and it's just going to be impossible to duplicate it. So, anyways, let me get into the episode here. First one, like I was saying, Cobblestone Jazz, Matthew Johnson. Cobblestone Jazz is a trio. It's not just Matthew Johnson by himself, but Cobblestone Jazz is Matthew Johnson, this guy named Daniel, and another guy named Tiger as appearing as a trio. I don't know who does what instruments in that combo, but they make some serious magic together. This is their 2006 release called Dump Truck. Absolutely love the cover art on this one, especially the front of it. It's like the back, I'm actually not like super crazy about this color combo, but this here, this is beautiful. This like the scrawling, scribbling, kind of like font, and it's almost like watercolor. I mean, this is crazy cover art, and you don't really see cover art like this on modern releases. Like there's some modern releases that are still bringing it pretty well on their cover art, but to me, this is like just right in the heart, the prime of Wagon Repair. They were crushing it with their sound, crushing it with their art. If you look at their most recent releases, like a lot of the Cobblestone Jazz are just like a plain white label, just because I'm sure it's just because of cost, but I guess back when this was released, it wasn't so cost prohibitive to put out like a nice cover art and have somebody paint them a nice picture, so they just went all out on it. And the track Dump Truck here is still just a timeless bomb that Cobblestone Jazz composed. It's called Dump Truck because when the track goes off during the breaks, the same way that a big rig will drive by, a little kid like signals to them to honk the horn, and they reach up and they pull on that string or whatever the hell it is that makes the air horn go off. Cobblestone Jazz and Dump Truck has the same thing, and right when that thing hits, in comes the rolling bass line, and it's like one of the biggest tracks that Cobblestone Jazz has ever made. So enjoy this. If you didn't know about Dump Truck and you hear this, I think it's going to blow your mind. And try to keep in mind this was made in 2006. Next up, moving to 2007, a couple of legendary producers, in my opinion. This is Lazy Fat People, who also appeared around the same time on Border Community with their Dark Water, I think it's called Dark Water Big City or something like that on Border Community. That's one of my favorite BC records of all time. The cover art's dope, and the sound on there is just like so wild, wacky, and dark. Very, very similar sounds here. This has like more... I mean, Wagon Repair is kind of centered around jazz, not centered around jazz, but you're going to find a lot of like weird experimental jazzy type influences in Wagon Repair. And like Lazy Fat People here, Ripperton and Mirko Loco, two super talented producers who both, like, after Lazy Fat People kind of like forked off. And Mirko Loco, he was crushing it on cadenza during the 2010s decade. Raphael Ripperton, he went and did his own thing, and I think Mirko Loco stopped around like 2020. He might still resurrect and start releasing again. You never know. And Ripperton, he's still active, although I haven't seen any vinyls from him in the last few years. I think he's still doing digital only releases. But yeah, back then as this duo, this was '07, so you're kind of like in the minimal era with electro influences. And when I say electro, what I really mean that like gritty, extra well German Sven Väth type sound that's somehow brought into like fused with like jazz noodliness. And the output that you get here is something that's kind of like wild and wacky and maybe hard to pin down, hard to recreate. So I think for this being an '07 record, I think it's great, and it has a nostalgic factor for me. I went and bought this at a now defunct record store back in Philadelphia, and it's funny to me how I can remember these record stores and like the day that I made the purchase and who I was with. But I guess that's what vinyl's all about, right? Like it's not just the music, it's like all of the peripheral things that you have attached to it that make it special. But beautiful cover art here. Lazy Fat People crushed it at the beginning of their career, and I think a great affordable piece of the Wagon Repair catalog. So happy to give these guys a shout out because I love Minologue. If you want to sift my channel, there is a Minologue episode where I think I did my top 5 or top 6 from them, and even that was hard to pin down. This is an outstanding Minologue release that is, I think, also accompanied by beautiful cover art. This is one of my favorite cover arts of all time, like the brown on orange on yellow, and then that signature Wagon Repairs like scratch, like it's like scratched into the art with like a piece of charcoal or something. So cool. Minologue in their prime, Sebastian Muellert and Mark Henriksen together in their relatively early years. I think they actually started making like progressive house in like 2000, maybe the year like 2000 or something like that. But I don't really like their progressive house that much. For me, Minologue is like that weird, trippy, mushroom, minimal, and this fits the bill for it. I went here with the track Birdsong on the B side is like a nice, solid 4 out of 5 Minologue record to me. But Elephant's Parade stands out. This is where all the chance taking and all the noodling happens. It's almost like Minologue were inspired by the types of chances that Cobblestone Jazz was taking on the label, and it's like this is like Minologue's rendition of a Cobblestone Jazz record, in my opinion. I mean, Minologue has heavy jazz influence, and I don't know, maybe they got it from hanging out with Matthew Johnson, and maybe this is where it all started for them, because they weren't always jazzy, but in the years after this, I mean, there's tons of releases, especially the ones that come from Sebastian, where it gets like super noodly and weird, and next thing you know, like you're seeing like little like forest creatures and fairies and stuff in your visions, right? You listen to too much Minologue. So anyways, Elephants on Parade, heavy, gritty, lots of wild synth work, especially as you get towards the end of the track. It feels like in some places the track is about to trip over its own feet, and then it kind of gets itself back together just enough to form a cohesive experience for you. But definitely a killer release in the Wagon Repair catalog. And now we're moving up to 2009. This release baffles me because I just realized it's upside down in my sleeve. This is the Traffic Jam EP with no reviews on it. No reviews on this on Discogs, which I do not understand. It's like it's slept on by the fans for I just but I can't explain why, because it's really really good. There's two tracks on the Traffic Jam EP. There is Fiesta on the A side, and there's Traffic Jam on the B side. And Fiesta, the first time I heard it, I couldn't believe how dark and dirty it was. If you blindfolded me and had me listen to it, first of all, I would have loved it because I would say it's flat out a 5-star record. But there's no way for you to listen to it and, in my opinion, attribute it back to cobblestone jazz. So, like, if you blindfolded an experienced electronic music listener and you said you have 100 guesses to name the artists on this record, I don't think anybody would guess cobblestone jazz, because it doesn't have any jazz elements, but it has like a crazy bass line. And I think if you pitch Fiesta down to like -2, -3, it would be a great way to open a club room. Like, it's heavy hitting, it's dark, and for being released in 2009 when there was so much, like, such a sea of crap music, like, that was really one of the worst years in electronic music since the genre was born. And here comes Fiesta just blowing the roof off undercover in a year when the rest of music was just tanking. And I'm back talking about cobblestone jazz again because I can't get away from the level of talent that these guys have. And I guess when it comes down to it, I mean, these might really objectively be some of the best releases that are on the label, despite everybody else's best effort to try to compete with them, like the other artists that were featured on Wagon Repair. I mean, I don't know, man. It's going to be tough to top this. This is Cobblestone Jazz with the Chance EP. The A side is called the Chance Dub, and the B side is just called Chance, which has I think a little bit of a vocal snippet in it. Does it have a vocal? Yeah, I think it does. But either the vocal's not really what I was fixated on in the track. What I thought really made this track, Chance, stand out is how housey it is. I mean, this is another example of cobblestone jazz getting away from that like free form jazz thing where it would be pretty distinct, like that record over my shoulder. You could, anything that's on that, you can pretty much tell it's cobblestone jazz, that album. But in this, it's like just like in that Fiesta release, it's like it came from cobblestone jazz doing something different that they had never done before. And what I think you get here is a legit 5-star house track that would be well loved and well received by any house head that loves to play that like Saturday, Sunday afternoon vibe where it's like it's very specifically not dark. It's like a daytime high quality house record. If you like that vibe and you love that music that just makes you feel like you're kind of like walking on air, the chance release here is going to get it done for you. Okay, I think we're up to number 6 now, and I wanted to pitch a record to you that I think is a little bit underrated. This is Adam Bayer's remix of Marionette, and Marionette is, I would say, in my top 3, maybe my number 1 electronic releases of all time. Like, if you just put a gun to my head, you're like, Mark, what's your favorite track of all time in the electronic genre? I think I would blurt out Marionette, because I think Matthew Johnson really showed the world like what an insane genius he was when he released that. And I'm gonna kind of like play out the episode with the original version of Marionette. This will be the 3rd time that I talked about it in various episodes on my channel, so I don't want to spend too much time on the original mix. I feel like if you don't have it, you just have to get it. Just figure out how to get a copy, even if you have to spend like 75 or $100 for it. It's just something that's got to be on your shelf if you love techno and if you love electronic sounds and the whole aura that can create for you. So Adam Bayer, right? Techno guy. I think he was really hitting its peak around the time that this came out, which I think is like, actually, I don't know the year on this. This might be like 2010 or something. I don't know, but Adam Bayer, I remember he was doing a lot of gigs back then with like Richie Houghton and appearing in a lot of videos, and his productions were on Minus, so like he was kind of like wrapped in with the Minus gang, and I would say pretty popular at the time. He took a chance trying to remix Marionette. I mean, that's tough. You've got an undeniable 5-star track, and then you got a techno guy trying to come in and put his spin on it without screwing it up. I think Bayer did a great job with it. The percussion in the Marionette remix is really like sophisticated and funky. Like it's clever, and there's also something really weird about the track where the melody feels like Marionette has like a complicated melody that plays out over the course of, I don't know, 16 or 32 beats. And at some points in Adam's remix of it, the melody seems to like shift a little bit early or a little bit late, and then it snaps back into like being under the right beat. I don't know how to describe it, and as many times as I've listened to this, I still haven't been able to figure out what makes it feel like it's like either early or late at some point. But the fact that it does seem to move like that, I think gives the track like this kind of like little interesting twist to it. If you're trying to DJ with it or blend with it, you might have a hard time getting it started or stopped on the right beat. But if you do get it launched at the right point, I think it's really cool. And the main version of Marionette that I'm about to show you, like I said, you're really paying like 75 to like $125 to get a nice copy of it. This you could probably still get for 10 or 15 bucks if I had to guess, in good condition. So if you want like an alternate version of Marionette with like some wild techno percussion from the early 2010s, this is good for you. This is Adam Bayer's remix of Marionette. And finally, like I said, I couldn't do a Wagon repair episode without showing you at least featuring the cover art here. Maybe this will be my thumbnail for the video. The cover art here is perfect. It's absolutely badass. And like I said, one of the absolute best undeniable tracks of all time, caned by Sven Väth and basically any other DJ that loves late nights and that whole dark vibe music. Marionette is one of the best compositions of all time, and I'll give you a clip here to end the episode.